He said, "You're too late. We are everywhere."
I get to record during daylight hours today. Yay! Just thought I'd share a few thoughts here. For some people who are following my channel now from the States or elsewhere in the world, you don't know a lot about Canada, but it's getting pretty out of control up here. Give you an example. So, not that long ago, there was a terrible incident where someone, as far as I know, it was a white dude. I don't know all the police details on it. I think he used a vehicle. He ran over some people whose heritage is Muslim. And, it was a tragedy. Again, I don't know all the details, but a lot of people in the community, including the Prime Minister, politicians from across Canada showed up, even though we're supposed to be social distancing and not having big events. They did this. I understand why. They wanted to show that in Canada, attacking people for ethnic background, skin color, religion isn't acceptable. But it was also obviously very opportunistic, because during the summer, as I pointed out in my last video, we've had dozens, literally plural, dozens, over 50 incidences that are likely to have been vandalism, including arson on churches across Canada. The Prime Minister, even the official opposition leader, who's supposed to be a, quote, conservative, not a word on it. I haven't seen anything from these guys. No one's coming out to churches to show how upset they are from any of these big parties. The media doesn't really seem to care. I hear more about it from American media in opinion pieces and back, behind the scenes type of small articles buried in the website than I do about, media outlets here in Canada. And by the way, the CBC is 100% funded and controlled by our government, like a Soviet-style news outlet. But not only that, now the government of Canada pays millions of dollars a year to all the other so-called independent or private media outlets, as long as they play by the federal government's rules. They talk about the right things. They don't talk about the wrong things. And so what's clear is that in Canada, whether you're talking about the so-called conservatives or so-called liberals, things over here have gone well past the light socialism. We're heading straight into out-and-out communism. Our economy is having serious problems now, and no one's talking about this again in our media. They all want to talk about COVID and locking us down more and more about vaccinations. Well, what causes a lot more deaths and a lot more suffering than a virus? Ideological communism and poverty through the destruction of an economy. But this is how, since the Frankfurt School, decades ago, the Marxists now, they believe in trying to bring about as much division and chaos in a society to break your system. And then from the chaos, gain power, and then establish their own new order with an iron fist. And that, I think, is what we are going through here in Canada. I think the attachments are most closely with China. There's obvious political signatures of their connections to our leaders here. And I think, religious persecution is a natural phenomenon. And right now, Muslims are getting cherished by the government, but only because I think they see it as something that's advantageous to this development of division, injecting it into a culture that didn't have many Muslims just a couple decades ago. They want to divide us. And the way to succeed is the way that we have with every set of immigrants in different cultures that have come to the West, including here in Canada, which is that we integrate not necessarily around everything we wear or everything we speak at home and our personal lives, but that we unite around our common cultural value or values, which is liberty, that due process is afforded to everyone, that no one is above the law and no one is beneath it, and that our Constitution means that the government is restricted from coming after your personal rights. That is the common culture here, and that is what we need to do for the immigrants. Holy crap, that's a big fly. For the immigrants that are coming to this country. If we can do that, then we can start reversing the trends on a lot of this stuff. My main concern up here, though, is that a lot of Christians I know are still in denial about the fact that the new religion, which communism is, it's a replacement for religion. It worships the state. It's part of the doctrine of Marxism that religion needs to go. And this is why churches are persecuted in communist countries. Christians, many of them are still in denial that they're being targeted. You will be permitted to have a religious organization as long as it is, you allow it to terraform to what the government tells you it needs to be. You worship when they say, where they say, how they say. And if you don't do that, the persecution is going to get worse. And I think the next real concern after what happened in the States is up here. Our government leaders are already talking about mail-in ballots and email ballots. I'm really worried about elections up here not being secure. So that's the update. I think that if I were an American right now in government, I would be sending security experts to the border, because one day you might wake up and find out that China has shipped in a bunch of soldiers at the behest and welcome of our leadership. And they're now at your border, at your doorstep. So I'd be thinking about that contingency very seriously. I hate to say it.
You said you wanted freedom. It's time you learned that freedom is never a gift, it has to be earned.
You know, there are some words I've known since I was a schoolboy. With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censored, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. Those words were uttered by Judge Aaron Satie as wisdom and warning. The first time any man's freedom is trodden on, we're all damaged.